tomato update. Let's take a look, you guys. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, this video is going to be a tomato only update. So, let's take a look. Okay, up here in the front in this tank, you guys saw this in one of my updates a little while ago, my front carport walk around update. And since then, it's been a week since then, my tomato plant's gotten taller. The other ones have gotten much bigger, and look, you guys, a nice cherry. These are the large red cherries. I never stop pulling these stupid tree seeds, ever. Sometimes, see, this is stage 2 of the tree seed. If you don't grab it soon enough, it goes to the next stage. Boom, and it becomes a mini tree really fast. See, those are the original 2 leaves that you generally see me pull. And then that is stage 2. It goes from seedling to tree. Anyways, I had done those basil plugs and moved. Boy, living in the cities on a weekend, guys. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Let's see if the noise calms down. Anyways, I guess not. So, there's these tomatoes. They're looking big. They're looking nice. They're growing well. They're starting to produce tomatoes and flowers. So, I'm happy. Now, over here, you also saw these in my carport update, and they were really small yet and weren't growing quite very robust yet, but they started to take off again and they're getting huge. They've doubled in size just in the last week, so I'm happy with their progress. See, this is stage 1 of the tree seed. Those basil plugs I moved, it looks like the holy basil are the ones that are going to be the strongest, and they're surviving quite well, but none of the other basil like this here or the other plugs that I had over here survived. Just these, but that's okay. Over here I've got basil that's surviving nicely, but again, most of that is holy basil. The holy basil is really quite a prolific basil plant. See over there, the holy basil's taken over. Just in the last week. This is how crazy large full it's gotten last week. Look at this mammoth. This mammoth basil is crazy. But it's being overrun and overtaken by the holy basil. The holy basil is just so prolific. But I'm going to let this become one giant basil patch. So, you saw those tomatoes, you saw those tomatoes. Let's come over up front here, and I'll show you the other tomatoes. This is that patch where I had 6 tomatoes up front, and only 2 of them have survived. These were the ones that I started from seed in my house, and it's starting to really get big now. There we go. I have this in here, cardboard in here, to prevent weed growth. And then in back, the tomato starting to get nice and big. Alright, we're going to go to the backyard and look at the other ones. Okay, here we go, you guys. These were tomatoes that had popped up. I'm not sure if I did a walk around showing you these or not. I know I showed my husband, but a bunch of these seeds had popped up in one of my tanks on the side, so I moved and transplanted tomatoes, and I don't know what kind of tomatoes they're going to be. They just were tomato plants that popped up in one of my planters over here. So I moved them and transplanted them. Plus I have a bunch of basil that's popping up. Bunch of basil. Bunch more basil. Sweet basil, I know that for sure. This is all holy. Most of this is holy basil. There's a sweet basil in here. I think that's Thai spicy basil. Holy basil, holy, sweet. I think that's Thai spicy. Don't quote me. Holy basils. That's all holy basil, all of that. But I don't know what kind of tomatoes these are going to be, and I won't know what kind of tomatoes they're going to be until they pop up. I'm going to take this cage here and do the same thing I did last year. Prop it right like this so that the tomatoes can go from the tank and climb up the side of the cage, up the side of the kennel. So all those tomatoes, you know guys, I planted all those tomatoes in the house. 95% of all of them died in transplant, or because of frost, or because of birds, or because of my cats. And then a whole bunch of tomatoes popped up in my side tank here. And so now I've got all the tomatoes I need again. More tomatoes. I'll show you guys. Look at that. That one was popping up over there. This big one here is one of my ones that I had planted inside the house. This is an Amish tomato paste. I do know that for sure. That popped up inside the house. It has been labeled from day one. And I've grown Amish tomato paste before. This Amish tomato paste is absolutely loving this corkscrew tomato steak I got at Walmart. And look you guys, it's weaving itself inside of it. See that? It's coming up and weaving itself inside all on its own. I can't complain. I'm happy. I love that corkscrew one. I'm going to be getting myself a few more of those. But I got a nice big Amish coming in. Don't know what that is. That popped up in this tank over here. This tank is the tank. This tank popped up a ton of tomatoes. And this is after I thinned them out. One of the tanks up front had popped out 3 tomato plants. One of them is over here. And the other 2 are those 2 up front. Those came from that pepper plants tank. But these ones came from there. That one came from there. Those ones are all from there. And then in here is a bunch of little tiny baby tomatoes popping up again. So I don't know what those are going to do. I'm just going to let them be. I started out the year thinking I'd have about 15 to 20 plants. And then nature broke my heart and I thought I was going to be down to like 4 or 5 plants. And then the tanks surprised me and I'm back up to like 15, 20 plants. So I'm happy. I'm very happy with my tomatoes. I got plenty coming in. They're all looking good. Ooh, let me go show you. Oh yeah, here on the side. I was experimenting. There is a plain straw bale. That's not doing much. It's all one. I dug out the center and put dirt in it. It's plenty wet. It may not look like it, but trust me, it's plenty wet. It's so wet. Look, it's growing mushrooms. So, don't worry, it's plenty wet. This one here, what I did was I created a little cage. I have that there because it keeps wanting to fall in the center. Created a little cage and laid all the, broke apart the straw hay bale and laid all the hay around the outside and then filled the inside with dirt pouches. So there's straw here. I made like 3 straw pots and filled them with dirt. and threw tomato seeds in there to find out what would happen. And I got tomatoes popping up there. I threw basil in there too. I have basil popping up there, tomatoes popping up there. They're starting to actually show some signs of looking good. I got a few small tomatoes popping up here. I don't know what and how they're gonna all do in the end. More weeds. But a couple of them are really starting to look quite nice, particularly down here. Now, I don't know if that's a flower or a basil. I'm letting it be for now to find out, but I do know that that's a holy basil. No, that I believe is lemon basil. Oh, is that lemon basil? Yes, that is lemon basil. Mmm, sweet. Tomatoes. Tomato. Creeping Charlie. Dandelion. Dandelion. Creeping Charlie. Creeping Charlie. That's the one thing about the straw bales is weeds pop up easily through it, but I'm liking the straw bale where you break it down and create a little fence around it, and it seems to be really nice. Now this is a radish seed, and I believe it was planted here by birds. That is cabbage, same thing. I believe that was planted here by birds, because the birds were absolutely digging my garden this year. And I spent a month fighting with the birds and losing so many seeds to the birds till I started feeding the birds tons of bird seed, and that's when they left my garden beds alone. Alright, next. So the 2 straw bales are pure experiments. Let's go check out those new ones that I'm growing, those Tommy toes here on the side by everything. Alright, Tommy toes. Look at that beautiful tomato right there. Pull that leaf down. 2 tomatoes. These are the Tommy Toe cherry tomatoes that I got from M.I. Gardner. We are growing these this year for the first time ever. So these are experiment, and my husband decide whether or not he likes them and whether or not he wants them to be grown permanently. So that's why they're in this side thing here, so I can keep them separate from everything, and he can know that these are his experimental tomatoes. I got 3 plants that survived, 2 of them here and 1 of them here. And again, this is that corkscrew, and they're just naturally growing around it and hooking themselves in and catching themselves in the right spot and climbing right up the thing. They're just, I mean, it reached over and is happily climbing. So I can't complain. I'm happy with these corkscrew ones. I think I might want to get some more. Alright guys, there we go. There's all my tomatoes, and stay tuned and look for more updates. I got updates on lots of plants. I've got basil or parsley going crazy, carrots going crazy, somewhat crazy. I got bunch of onions going crazy. I finally got some decent plant growth in my garden. The only thing in here that decided to grow is one little tie, and it's having some difficulties. And then there's another little tiny tie right there, and it's having some difficulties. I think part of the reason is the ants have turned it into an ant colony. So they're drying it out quite well. Not sure how much you can see it, but they've got it quite dug out in here. So, not sure how well these guys are going to do, but I'm not going to pull them. I'm not going to pluck them. I'm not going to end their lives. But I'm also not going to encourage them by watering them. I'm going to let them Darwinism themselves, and if they decide to survive and they produce me seeds, I'm going to be happy. If these grow up large enough and start getting ready to produce seeds, I will not be plucking off the seed pods and ending the seed pods. I'm going to be collecting the seeds and trying to grow more. Alright guys, thanks for coming along to look at my tomatoes and the side view of my one-type basil, and I think I have some carrots going to seed. Huh. Crazy. Alright guys, we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.